If my channel is any indicator, I absolutely love talking about video games, whether it's critiquing, having a discussion, or just for the fun of it. I would like to take the time to discuss about why I love video games as an entertainment medium. It's not to say there's a single reason. The few reasons I put on this list are only a few sentences to the full book report on the subject. These 4 reasons are what stood out to me. Without further delay, let's get right to it. This is why I love video games. Growing up, I was exposed to many video game genres on different platforms. I've played party games, racing games, RPGs, fighting games, platformers, puzzle games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, games on consoles, PCs, handheld, and mobile. Needless to say, my preferences are all over the place, and it serves as a reminder that I need to get out more. By 2011, I thought I had experienced everything video games had to offer. Sequels from existing franchises appeared to be endless. Between 2011 to 2012, many franchises are reaching their 3rd game. Some of these games were great according to the majority, but it wasn't what I was looking for at the time. What I wanted was something new. I wanted a game with a concept that hasn't been done to death. Something that utilizes my brain for once, instead of repeatedly pulling the right trigger ad nauseum. It wasn't long when my wish was granted, and I was presented with Catherine.
Yeah.
At first glance, this game appears to be nothing more than just an erotic fan service game. I'll be honest, it was the main reason why I picked up Catherine. I was going through puberty. Can you blame me? I mean, look at this game. Who wouldn't be attracted to this? Even the platform-specific box arts are head-turners.
Damn!
Once the game starts up, however, the mood changed dramatically. Wait a minute. What the hell am I playing? A survival horror game? A puzzle game? A narrative-driven game? My teenage brain was running wildly with thoughts like, did I buy the wrong game? And this is a much deeper game than I thought. Whatever the game turned out to be, I fell in love with everything Catherine had to offer. It should be noted that this game is in the style of a TV program, reminiscent of Elvira or Creepshow. The plot of this game focuses around 20-something-year-old Vincent Brooks, who's in a relationship with Catherine, with a K. He's the kind of guy that is afraid of commitment, the kind that would depend on his future spouse. Wow. Looking back, he was kind of a douche. One night, Vincent finds himself in his underwear scaling some kind of tower. Later on, he learns that if you die in these dreams, you die in real life. As you complete this tutorial level, the main character wakes up from the nightmare. Later that day, Vincent comes across a girl named Catherine with a C, who can be best described as a free spirit. The two spend the night at the bar. One nightmare later, Vincent finds himself in bed with the girl from the night before. From this point forward, Vincent will make the choice between the 2 women in his life and uncover the intent behind the nightmares. Certainly not any story I've ever heard of before. And this description was just the digest version. I didn't even bring up the other supporting characters that are intertwined with the game's plot. The Stray Sheep serves as the game's break from the nightmare levels, and a place where you can speak to other characters and learn about their backstory. Quite a bit, I might add. I believe this was the first video game I played where I actually cared about a minor character. When you aren't conversing with characters in the real world, you are scaling towers in order to survive. Even the game makes note that you shouldn't think too hard about it.
See how the edges connect?
Doesn't make any sense! How is it not falling? I mean, what about gravity?
Don't think about it. Just use it to your advantage. They won't fall, so make stairs with them. Just get used to it.
There is a minor problem with replaying a game like Catherine, and it's the difficulty. The game is difficult the first time around, but once you replay the game to unlock all of the possible endings, it starts to become easy. Unlike other puzzle games like Tetris, the playing field is not randomized. Each level has its own theme and sets of challenges, and introduces new obstacles as the game progresses. The first level introduces heavy blocks and breakaway blocks, while other later levels introduce spike blocks, ice blocks, and void blocks. Playing for the first time in years, I completely forgot how the game's mechanics work. As soon as I scale upwards, however, the muscle memories of completing these levels start to come back. To my recollection, I don't think I ever played any other game like Catherine. It's not a perfect game by any stretch, but it's a game that stuck to my mind all these years later. Of course, a good story and graphical fidelity is something I get excited about when done right, but it's not the primary reason why I enjoy playing video games. You can have the kind of writing that rivals Oscar-winning films or high-end graphics that is indistinguishable from real life, but if your game is as engaging as watching paint dry, then it's a game not worth playing for hours on end to me. Nowadays, games blend together all of these elements that would justify the $60 price tag, but more often than not, the opposite is true. Normally, these kind of games shouldn't have a reason to be priced the way they are, but apparently, there is a market for those that want less for more. However, what if I could find the exception to this rule? A game that doesn't have the content or tangible story to justify the retail price, but is as deep and engaging as one. In my opinion, nothing exemplifies this more than the Doom reboot. When Doom was revealed at E3 2015, I knew that I just had to play it, no matter what. I wanted to tear those demons a new one. I didn't care if the person demoing the game was as slow as a games journalist. I had a feeling deep in my gut that I would enjoy it. Once the multiplayer beta came around, however, my opinions have become less receptive. The multiplayer beta didn't bolster confidence as it suffered similar problems that modern first-person shooters faced. Loadouts, a progression system, uninspiring modes, and season passes. The last item was what turned me off from playing the multiplayer mode at launch. The only thing the multiplayer had going was the ability to transform into a demon, which was fun, but it didn't keep me interested for long. It wasn't the worst multiplayer experience ever, but I expected better. So what about the campaign? Usually, I take the stance that more features should mean more value for a product, but I don't think that case applies here. Let me put it this way. Even if id Software, the developer behind Doom, were to remove the multiplayer mode and Doom Snap Map, I would say that the single-player campaign alone was worth the admission price. Doom feels like a blast from the past in the best way possible. It takes elements that made the original Doom games fun and managed to amplify it tenfold. No reloading, multiple gun properties, open levels that provide strategic opportunities, a badass soundtrack from our Lord and Savior Mick Gordon, and power-ups? Holy shit! This is what a video game should feel like! It controls well, the flow of movement and combat is fluid, and it's well optimized when you consider the footage you're seeing is running on the original Xbox One hardware. With all that said, the game can be difficult, even on normal difficulties. I can't even tell you how many times I died because of a single mistake. Unlike Dark Souls, I didn't feel like it's the game's fault that I'm constantly dying. The fault was mine. Maybe I didn't use this weapon enough times, or I should use this power-up by the second wave, or I should have strafed to the right instead of the left. It becomes a learning experience instead of succumbing to another rage-inducing loop. When everything you learn from past mistakes come together perfectly, the feeling of completing a level becomes satisfying. This isn't even including other tidbits that the developer didn't have to include, like lore for the world of Doom, collectibles that highlight the main character's personality, and even included secret bonus levels straight from the first games. The Wolfenstein reboot 2 years prior may have done this before, but I think it was handled better here. I absolutely love playing Doom's campaign to death, so much so, I ended up replaying it multiple times on harder difficulties. Although, I will admit, playing by myself for extended periods of time could get lonely sometimes. And some other days, I just want to play with others. No, not with Doom's multiplayer, but perhaps by playing something else. Online gaming has existed for decades, but I never really took advantage of it. Mostly because I would usually play with friends or family, whether it's Mario Kart or Smash Brothers. While I did have an original Xbox, I never used Xbox Live because I never had a reason to do so. That plus preteen op-ed gaming wasn't that smart on how online gaming worked. Most of my Xbox library consisted of single-player/local multiplayer games. It wasn't until 2010 that I got an Xbox 360 and a taste of true online gaming. The first time I ever played Halo 3 was back in early 2011, 4 years after its release. By this time, Halo Reach came out months prior, but I didn't care. When I fired up multiplayer, I met a few like-minded people in a Team Slayer match. There were a mix of older and younger players, either playing for the first time or veterans since Halo 2. One day, we set up a lobby between us and other online friends of friends, and it was the most fun I've had in a video game. We were outperforming each other, threw a few jokes here and there, and just having a blast. This relationship wasn't limited to just competitive play, as we helped each other out, whether it's completing the campaign on Legendary or finding hidden skulls on multiplayer maps. The party continued once a majority of us decided to get Halo Reach months later. Not only did we do the same things from Halo 3, but thanks to Firefight and a large selection of community-made maps and modes, we had what felt like endless hours of fun. And this was just for the Halo series. Around this time frame, I got into the Marvel 3 series and met up with a new group of people where we chatted and had weekly lobby matches. The netcode was terrible, mind you, but we didn't care because we were too busy having a good time. From there, we jumped around other games like Persona 4 Arena, Skullgirls, and the Minecraft knockoff Castle Miner Z. Thankfully, some of the footage exists on YouTube. It's mostly the Castle Miner and Marvel 3 footage, but it's gameplay that shows I had a presence on the platform before I seriously considered doing YouTube. I'll leave the links to the videos in the description if you want to check it out. In recent years, I don't have that much of an attachment for online gaming like I used to. I'll jump into a few matches in Gears of War or grind away in GTA Online at Fortnite, but if I want to play video games with another person, I'd rather invite my IRL friends. One would think that with an overabundance of live service games, I would find more like-minded people and have fun with them, but the opposite is true. I may poke fun at Anthem for being a failure, but I don't have a vendetta against online-only games. It's just that I don't think any other game would ever live up to the online social experience I had all those years ago. It's funny, talking about memories like these makes it seem like they happened yesterday. Memories. Yeah, that's right. Whenever memories are associated with video games, most conversations end up being about the moments we experience in these game worlds. I don't even know where to start when talking about it. Some of the more memorable moments in video games for me range from discovering the Mesa Malag Ball in Skyrim to forming a strong bond with a child during a zombie apocalypse. I could go on, but these aren't the kind of memories I want to talk about. The memories I'm talking about are the ones that form around the game. I mentioned earlier about my memories of making friends over Xbox Live, but I believe the strongest one are those we make locally. Let me tell you a story. About a month ago, my cousin and I finished working out for the day. As we were on our way to drop her off, a Ricky Martin song just happened to play on my playlist. Yeah, I like his songs. Got a problem? Anyway, this resulted in a nostalgic conversation about when we were kids. We were imagining our mothers in one room making food for all of us, while the rest of us were just in my room playing on the Nintendo 64. I'm sure I don't have to talk about the games we played like Mario Party, Diddy Kong Racing, and a bunch of other things. But one of the more standout moments was when my mother would play with us on Pokemon Stadium. She would always use Gengar against us because she knew we didn't know how to fight against it. She beat my mother, but she didn't want to lose either. Even back then, she wanted to give us a hard time. My brother, my cousin, and her sister and I had to team up in order to take her down. Of course, we eventually grow up and move on to other things. However, it's the bond that we carried over that has stuck with us for a long time. It's memories like these that remind me of the good times in my childhood. The strongest memories we associate with are those that make the biggest impact in our lives. In my case, the best memories I formed around video games was when I was a kid. I believe the creative stories in the vast majority of video games we played in our lifetime, while memorable in their own right, cannot match the impact most of us felt when sharing the experience with others and discovering them for the first time. There's one more thing I want to cover before I wrap things up. It's something that influenced the creation of this topic. Does anyone remember those plug-and-play games that were popular back in the early 2000s? I owned a Namco plug-and-play system, and still do. It wasn't until my dad found it while he was cleaning out his closet in mid-September. Both my dad and I noticed how much gunk there was in a battery slot, so we decided to clean it out as much as possible. As soon as we fixed it, I found my dad playing on it for quite a while. He would always tell me that when he was a kid, he would always play Pac-Man. My point in telling the story is that video games aren't just for kids or teens like what most modern news media would tell you. It's for everyone to enjoy. Young, old, it doesn't matter. Anyone can play. So that brings me back to the question, why do people love video games in the first place? Well, it could be any of the reasons I listed out, or something I haven't covered. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, there isn't just a single reason why we play video games. For most of us on this platform, it's a hobby we happen to love, a job we carry out like any other hardworking individual, an art form we appreciate like any other painting, a form of escapism from the real world, a way to make friends from long distances. The reasons are literally countless. It's an entertainment medium that just about anyone can enjoy. I don't think I'll ever grow out of playing video games, regardless of what anyone says. And I'm certain I'm not alone on this. Okay, where do I even start? Back in August, I left a teaser about my next video in my channel update. It was meant to be about gun violence and video games. I even had a topic about microtransactions in the works as a plan B when I knew the gun violence video wasn't going as planned. However, several setbacks such as the unforeseen university workload, the continuing trend of corporate greed in video games that delayed plan B, and problems regarding my personal life that I'd rather not go into too much detail at the moment, has resulted in me suffering from several mental breakdowns by the following month. It was so much to take in, I thought I needed to take a break from everything for a year. And for a moment, I did. It was the reason why there was a gap between the channel update and the Outer Worlds review. As the months passed, I started to regain focus. I needed to wake up and get my head back in the game. What I ended up doing was talking to some close people like my family and friends. I think that's what did it for me. I just needed some social interaction to get my mind off of things. The important thing is, I'm fine now. Then came the time to create more videos. As I look back at the scripts from the gun violence and video games video I was working on, I realized I couldn't write about it. I didn't want to take advantage of the people who died from the mass shootings in order to give the video a reason to exist. When I said my conscience was too good, I meant it. With that said, I decided to scrap the idea altogether. This included scrapping the microtransactions video as well. So I came up with the idea about why I love video games as a video topic, as a reason to play some of my favorite video games and understand why I play them in the first place. Plus, I wanted to escape reality, if only for a moment. I knew it would take a while to get everything set up, so I worked on several reviews as a way to tide over until it's done. While I did have fun making those reviews, I knew I would have to start working on this one soon enough. I know it's a lot to take in, but I want to be as transparent as possible about my situation. TLDR, I was dealing with some complications and I let it go through my head. It was hard to deal with, but I'm fine now. By the time this video releases, it should be Christmas Eve, assuming if future me remembers to schedule it. I just want to say, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And if by any chance you're not watching this during the holidays, or if you don't celebrate it, have a good rest of the day. And remember, if you're feeling down, it wouldn't hurt to talk to someone about it. It's done wonders for me. Maybe it might do something for you. Anyway, thank you for watching all the way until the end. If you like this video, leave a like and consider subscribing for more content. Until then, this has been Opez Gaming, signing out.